Hello and welcome to our channel. In this video series, we will be learning about data structures and algorithms. This course will be about learning a programming language, learning about data structures, and finally, we will cover various types of algorithms which will help us engineer our own products. In this video, we will learn about how to write programs in C. Now, you may ask why C? C has proven to be a versatile language for a wide variety of programs. The operating system we are using, the backend code of the cloud servers have direct or indirect use of C. Even the games we play made using the famous Unreal Engine are made using C++, which is considered as a successor to C. The language Python itself is written using C. The simplicity of C makes it one of the fastest languages that exists. To write our first C program, we will create a file with a name extension C. Let's say we will create a file intro.c. Once the file is created, we can open the file with our text editor. In this case, I am using Vim. The first line of our C program will be #include, and in the brackets we will say stdio.h. Now this is called the preprocessor. The #include tells the program to include a file name stdio.h, which is itself a C program or maybe some program written in another language which provides us with all the functionalities that are required to write a program, such as getting user inputs or printing the output to the console or the terminal. Now, all the programs that we will write will consist of mainly variables and functions. Think of functions like a machine, which when given an input provides us with the desired output. So every C program expects to have a function named main followed by two brackets. Now each function needs to have a return data type. In this case, the main function won't return anything, so we will say void, and the body of the function should be written inside the curly braces. To write our first program, we will use a function from stdio.h file, which is printf, and we will, let's say, write hello world with IT5, and we'll put a \n here. This is called escape sequence and tells the cursor to jump to the next line after it prints hello world, and we will end this by a semicolon. We will just save the file. We'll create a new terminal. To compile the file, we will use cc space the name of the file, and we'll press enter. If the compilation is successful, it won't give us an output, and simply we'll create a file named a.out. To run this file, we will simply type /a.out, and it gives us the output. Now we need something to hold data. That is where variables comes into play. Let's say we want to multiply a number with 2. To hold that number, we will create a variable, let's say x equal to, and the number will be 45. Since this number is of type integer, we will precede the name of the variable with int. Now we need to store the result somewhere. To do that, we will create another variable, let's say result. Now the value of the result will be the variable x multiplied by the number 2. To print the result, we will again use the printf statement. Here % is the placeholder, and d, since result is of the type integer, and we'll put a comma here, and we'll type result. We'll save the program and we'll recompile it and run that file. and it gives us the result. We can also have multiple variables in printf statement. Let's say we'll type here the multiplication of %d with 2 is, now we have 2%d here. The first %d is the name of the variable, so it will come in front of result and followed by the variable result. We will save this, we'll recompile the program and run it again, and here is our result. Also, we can do a similar program with the help of functions. At first we will create a function. To create a function, we will first write the return type of the function. Since this function will be returning an integer, the return type of the function can be int, and the name of the function can be, let's say, mult. Inside the function we can pass the arguments. Since the arguments is of type integer, we will write here integer and a variable name. Inside the curly braces we can simply return the number x multiplied by 2. Now we can change this whole part, let's say, with our own function mult, inside which will provide the value x. We will just save it and run the file, and it gives us the same output. We also don't need to have another variable here, let's say result. We will simply remove this and change this result to mult, and inside that we'll put x. We will just write, recompile it and run it. The output will be same. Now let's say we want to multiply the numbers from 1 to 10 with the number 2 and print the output. One way will be to call this mult function again and again. To do this task easily, we can use the help of loops. What loop does is it performs a common task again and again until a condition is met. Let's modify our mult function. To make it more understandable, we will change the name of the variables. Let's say we will change this x to num, and we will introduce another variable. Let's say multiplier. Now what we will return is, we can simply print out the number starting from 0 until num multiplied by the multiplier. To do that, we will write the for loop. We will put here for, and inside brackets we will define another variable, let's say integer I equal to 0, which will be the starting point of the loop, and given by the condition. Here the condition will be I less than or equal to num, and followed by the increment of the variable I, and inside curly braces we will write our printf statement. Here we will say %d x %d is equal to %d. Now each %d will be different. For the first %d it will be I, for the second %d it will be multiplier, and for the third %d it will be I into multiplier. We'll put a semicolon here. we will change this. We'll change the variable here, let's say num, and we'll create another variable multiplier, let's say will be equal to 45. Let's reduce this number, and we will call our function which will be mult. Here the number is num and the multiplier is multiplier. We'll put a semicolon here, and since our mult function is not returning anything, we can change the return type to word. To make it more prettier, we will add here a \n. We will save the program. Okay, it gave us a warning which shows us that in line 16 mul is undefined. Let's get back to our program and let's go to line 16, which is after our error. In line 15 we can see that we have written mul instead of mult. We'll go here and append a t here. We will save it, we will recompile, it is free from errors now, and we will run, and we have written a table of 2 here. Alright, now this is called for loop. The similar functionality can also be achieved with another loop which is called while. Let's say we will write another function here, void mult with while, and integer num will be our first argument and integer multiplier will be our second argument. And now for the while loop we will write while here, and inside this we need to give a condition. For that we will create a variable, let's say integer I equal to 0, and we will say here I is less than equal to num, and while loop will continue till the value of I is less than or equal to num. Since we don't want to make this loop infinite, we will increase the value of I each time the loop gets executed, and we can simply copy this line here and paste it. Alright, let's try changing this here to our new function name. Let's recompile it, and it shows us an error which says the multiplier is not defined. So since we changed the name of the parameter to mul, we need to remove this part and this part. We will save the program, we will recompile it, and we will execute, and it gives us the same output. Now the choice is up to us which loop we want to use. Now we can also create another function that will tell us if a number is even or odd. To do that, let's say we will write a function name even. It will have a number as an argument, and if the number is even it will return 1, and if the number is odd it will return 0. To do this thing we will use conditionals. Here let's say if the number when divided by 2 gives a remainder of 0, then we will return 1, which says that the number is even. Else we will say that the number is odd and we will return 0. To check this, we can simply delete this line also, and we will write a printf here which will give us %d \n, and we'll call a function here even with number. We'll put a semicolon here. We will save the program, we'll recompile it and run it. Since the number was 10, it returned us 1, which means it is even. We can also change it. Let's say change the number to 11. We'll save it, we'll recompile and run it again, and it gives us 0 in the output. In this video, we have learned about variables, functions, loops which are for and while loop, and conditionals which are if and else. There is one more type of loop that is called do while loop, and another type of conditional that is else if. Having this all knowledge, we can simply solve a question where we have to find a sum of numbers ranging from a to b, where a and b both are integers. The function may somewhat look like sum inside which a and b are parameters.